It's the Boss Man. Welcome back to another episode with me, the Boss Man, where I breach the very fabric of reality to bring you the most saucy boss fights from the world of video games. In today's edition, buff android cosplay chick fights against this monstrosity, which looks like something that fell right out of me nose. That's if my bogies were made out of chainsaws, of course. And frankly, traveller, thank God they're not. It's not like I haven't got enough problems on my hands already. This horrific little fancy is otherwise known as the Stalker, and can be unlocked as a bonus when you complete the Stella Blade demo, available now on a PS5. Apparently, it's a boss battle from far later in the game, and represents a far bigger challenge than the mandatory boss at the end of the demo. And I would argue the first time that the gameplay truly starts to shine, feeding us a few tasty morsels of what we got to look forward to. Now, I don't know about you, traveller, but I assumed that this game was going to be a highly polished, next-gen Bayonetta clone. But what surprised me is how similar to games like Sekiro it is, with a focus on brutal, rhythmic, precise parrying. As you might have noticed from the fight, if you manage to successfully parry a string of his attacks, you'll be able to stagger him, giving you a moment's breather, whilst also building up special abilities that you can deploy on our lovely chainsaw bogeyman whilst he's in a daze. Going beyond that, if you stagger him enough times, you'll be able to momentarily completely floor him, allowing you to use one of your all-powerful retribution attacks. You can keep track of this by chipping away at the yellow blocks represented at the top of the UI. And to really mix things up, there's certain unblockable attacks you're going to have to dodge to avoid. You'll know these are coming when the enemy starts to glow red or purple. So in other words, this is a game that's going to be keeping you squarely on your tippy toes. In addition to the Sekiro influences, I was also surprised by how much of God of War's DNA has ended up in this tasty little mix of carnage and destruction. The combat feels weightier and more considered than I was expecting, which I must admit is a rather nice little surprise. The combat system forces you to play defensively, meaning you'll have to react swiftly to a variety of different attacks. So what you've got here is the unholy union of Souls-like gameplay blended with the likes of Sekiro, Bayonetta and Nier Automata, with a hearty slice of God of War on the side. What a glorious banquet of decimation. I wouldn't say it's all a joyous bed of roses, however. Playing the demo, I did have some concerns about the lock-on system. When taking on groups of enemies, it felt a bit clunky, and sometimes even a bit frustratingly unreliable. Some of the environmental interactions also lacked finesse, feeling a bit ropey at times. All things that could be solved by a bit more time in the oven, and I guess it's Shift Up's first major AAA release, so prepare to cut them a bit of slack in this instance. Extra points, however, have to go to these brutal cinematic takedowns. Just have a look at this. That's right, I sliced him open like your mum's birthday cake. I must admit, I really enjoyed this fight, and it really does show off the game's true potential. Took me a few goes, but if you're a proper Blight Town hardman like me, it shouldn't prove too tricky. I'll award it a 3 out of 5 on the difficulty front. If this ain't your first Boss Man rodeo, then welcome back, and if it is, kindly consider giving me a like or a subscribe, and thanks a lot for watching. I'll be back next week with more juicy boss battle goodness.